What's up, everybody? It's your boy Keefy. Pre-show Keefy, pre-game show Keefy. Gonna do 2 live streams today. The usual weekly show and this review of the Ozzy Ozzbourne documentary. El Dumero Uno is here. What up, what up? Brandon McMaster is here. Good to see you. Good to see you. We are streaming everywhere. Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Instagram, and also hanging out on the Tick of the Talk. Skull Basher, what up? Thanks for being here. This is going to be a review, warts and all, of the new Ozzy documentary, No Escape From Now. There are 2. We'll talk about both of them, but mostly the one I've seen. And, definitely, if you don't want it spoiled for you and you want to go in cold and not watch it, that's cool. But I've watched it and I felt like I needed to get my feelings out to share them. Stormland, what's up, man? I'm okay. It's been a week. It's been a day. I have a lot going on, but I'm trying to do all the content things. I even feel the word content is kind of gross, but here we are. Here we are doing all the things, you know? So, yeah. Boy, unflattering angles sometimes on the tube of you. Sermon of Flies is here. Welcome back. Welcome back. Thanks for being here, checking in. So going live now, going live again in about an hour and a half with the main hour-long show. But this is going to be a quick and dirty review of No Escape From Now by the Ozzy Ozzbourne documentary. Like, we all know the ending. He passes away, which sucks. But I definitely learned a lot of stuff about the last few years of his life that I did not know going in. And so I thought you would all be super interested to hear about it. And when I do spoilery reviews, hey, what's up, brother? When I do spoilery reviews and I tell people they're spoiler reviews, I also still do them in a way you can still appreciate and enjoy what you watch. Because, like, what's the fucking point if I just repeat everything I saw? That doesn't make sense. But I wanted to share some stuff. The Ozzy death has hit me particularly hard. Watching this has hit me especially hard. Chasing Vinyl has now popped in, as well as a Dead Radio Show. What up, what up? Oh, Stormland, man, that's very nice of you. I didn't even talk about tips yet, but thank you, man. That's really kind of you. We greatly appreciate it. So yeah, I'll shill more for tips in the later show, but I wanted to here I moved the orientation of this thing when I changed the camera angle the other night, which I got some criticism of. But anyway, hopefully you see me here. The best experience for this again is usually Twitch, Instagram, YouTube, or Facebook, but I'm super grateful. Thank you, Stormland. I really appreciate you. Weirdo Girl 666 is also here. Hello, Weirdo Girl. Thanks for being here. Appreciate everybody watching on all the things. So first things first, some minutiae, just really quick. Again, I will be back on in about an hour and a half to do the live stream, the full hour show. Ozzy No Escape From Now is out now. And, it's a heartbreaker. I'm not going to lie. And we just turned 13. Ghost Cult celebrated its 13th anniversary yesterday. And I'm working on a special giveaway to reward fans for supporting us. I think it's really super cool. I'm sent stuff all the time I can't make use of. Free vinyl, free CDs. Casket Rats is here. What up? Gilbert Brivington is here. Hello, Gilb. So yeah, I'm sent things all the time. I thought I could give away some merch. That's the box behind me that has the said merch in it. It's a whole box. And there's vinyl, and there's CDs, and there's stickers, and there's shirts. I'm just going to give away a bunch of stuff. And maybe some Ghost Cult merch in there as well. We've been doing a lot of live streams. I jumped on the other day to talk about the Rush reunion and comeback. Not the most metal thing, but Rush is a very important and big band in my life. And so I thought it would be fun to share it with you all. We also do my weekly show. Again, we'll be back on. That's the little spoiler alert, the banner for later. So, all right. Lying here. I don't know why. Okay. And we did one about Metallica in the Super Bowl. And in case you're in the California area or within striking distance of Los Angeles, we are giving away 5 pairs of tickets to see The Cult, Death Cult, Failure, and Patriarchy. And I just saw that The Cult and Death Cult are going to they're going to put out a live album of this tour of the Death Cult material live, which they have never done. So I think that's super cool if you're a diehard fan. Hey, Zoko is here. What up? What up? He shared some news about you today. All right. And again, there's the tip menu, but I don't have to make a big deal about it. I do appreciate any tips. I usually drop them in the menu here. I'm trying to grab. Oh, echo. What a mess. Anyway, click the wrong thing and fuck around and find out. That's what happens. But anyway, yeah. So we're here. We're gonna do the damn thing. It looks like I disappeared for a minute. I'll get myself back on in a second. Just wanted to share this thing. If anybody else is feeling generous and feeling tipsy, any money we collect, we do get some money from advertising, but any money we collect goes right back into the company, which is pretty cool, I have to say. All right, I'm back. Let's just bust this up everywhere. Yeah, my pleasure. And super excited about your new music. Thank you so much. All right. That's all the things. That's all the minutiae. Let's get down to business. There's a second documentary about Ozzy that I haven't seen from the BBC, which is Ozzy and Sharon Coming Home. This is the documentary that they asked to not be shown. It was actually supposed to air the Monday after he passed away. And the family was like, this is too brutal and we can't have this out right now. So please don't post it. Like, please don't air it yet. But now it's airing on BBC. I have been told by my British friends at Ghost Cult that it is particularly brutal and hard. So if that's the case, like, if this is even worse than the one I saw, that's saying quite a lot, honestly. And again, Stormland, thank you so much, brother. You're just too kind for words, man. I don't know. Yeah, that's usually what we do with the tip menu, and you can tip us at all the links in the description. But Stormland, thank you, brother. That's super nice of you. I appreciate it. So yeah, man, I watched this documentary. I kind of like stayed up late to watch it, and I had an early morning the next day. But I really went out of my way to try to take it all in, take notes, understand it, enjoy it, and really absorb it. And it's a difficult watch. I'm not gonna lie. If you love Ozzy like I love Ozzy, this thing is really hard to take. You really see how much he struggled. It kind of recaps basically the late teens to his passing. And it's kind of like a very intimate view, more intimate even than the Ozzbourne's TV show was like, and all of the reality TV shows that Ozzy and Jack have been part of and family were kind of like setups a little bit. Like, Ozzy's going to be mad about something today. Let's film it. But this is a lot different. This is vulnerable. This is kind of, the camera's there, but like they're kind of letting it all hang out and nothing is really, held back. It's a very unflinching look at Ozzy deteriorating before your very eyes, and Sharon in a lot of pain emotionally over it, and his whole family, and how he, kind of really slowed down. We did an Ozfest in Los Angeles, New Year's Eve 2018. It was covered by my good friend Meg Loyal, and she photographed it and covered it, and it was like at the Kia Forum, I think, arena. Corey Pierce is passing by. What up, homie? And so what you want is here. Corporal Bruise is here. I think you've been here before. Nice to see you. So yeah, man, if you watch this thing, again, spoiler alerts, I'm now talking about the documentary. So if you don't want it spoiled for you, it's okay if you don't watch. But if you want to keep going, Moon Womb is also here. Jump in the comments and tell me if you saw it and how it affected you and how you if you thought it was done well or not. I think it was. Spoiler alert, I think it was done well, but you really see him slip away slowly over time, and it's really tough to sit through and watch. And there are days when he is very sprightly, and you see like the glint in his eye and the mischief and the fun and the little perversion and sense of humor and all this thing when he's really sharp. And then there's days when he's just like a shell of the man he used to be. And even he talks about it, he's so frail. So like the chain of events that I don't think a lot of people knew going into this thing is that so Ozzy had everybody knows about the ATV accident. These things are fucking dangerous. You could get killed riding them. It's like a 1,000-pound mini car, that bike, four-wheeler that, if it falls on you, broken bones, probably, could be fucked up beyond repair. Ozzy has the crash, fucks his neck up, gets back to business, recovers, and goes right back about being Ozzy. The Ozzbourne's TV show, touring, whatever, Ozzfests. And, he had some problems over time. And obviously the Parkinson's, they were kind of slow to reveal that development in his life. But, clearly he had the Parkinson's, and it was a thing that debilitated him and he struggled with. And then he had the, when they did the surgery on him after the ATV thing, they had put pins in his neck to keep his spine kind of intact. And then he had a slip and fall. He was home ill. And he really broke his fucking neck and injured where he had the rods put in his neck. And the way that Jack and Sharon and Kelly and Amy all tell it is that the second surgery after he got injured made him worse. He came home worse, like in constant agonizing pain. It kind of aged him badly. He wasn't as mobile. Basically, the last 7 or 8 years of Ozzy's life, he was just constantly in medical distress. The Parkinson's, the physical ailments, other things. There was a time, he was hospitalized before the second fall, where he had MRSA and he had like infections and he couldn't get rid of them. One was in his hand and one was in his neck, again, from, for whatever reason, susceptible. And he had canceled the tour. He had canceled the No More Tours tour. Mark's Metal Minutes passing by. What's up, homie? And Zeolcon is here. Good to see you. We're talking about the Ozzy documentary. Spoilers. Warning for spoilers. I'll say that a few times. So yeah, man, it's just really hard. It was really hard on him to lose that strength that he had always had as a physical person. Like, to be really disabled was really bad for him. It depressed him terribly. The canceling the tours depressed him because he really lived to perform and tour. And, we've done Ozzy reviews and we reviewed the whole Black Sabbath Back to the Beginning show. And we talked about, maybe, there was help with Ozzy's vocals, and we've seen that before, where he probably had offstage singing help from people like Robert Mason or whoever, pre-recorded vocals. And so Ozzy was really, a wreck. And he was a mental wreck emotionally, and he was really frail, and you could see he had very bad days. Some days he couldn't walk barely. It really affected his whole body, plus the Parkinson's, plus everything, plus the history of being Ozzy. There's Ozzy being Ozzy for 50 years, catching up to him, 40 years of Ozziness, catching up to him. And, it's a warts and all. There's a lot of tough moments. There's moments when, like I said, he's barely a shell of the man he used to be. And he says, like, if I could come back, I want to be Ozzy. I don't want to come back and be less. My fans expect and deserve more. He felt very guilty. So that was a surprise revelation that the second surgery was botched, medical malpractice, possibly, because it made him worse. They did too much, is the gist that I got. I'll have to watch it again to see if I got that right. But he did too much. They did too much operating on him, and it debilitated him and didn't help him. And then, so he's really in a funk. He cancels the tours. Canceling the 2019 tour devastated him. Obviously, the pandemic. Then it was, kind of canceled again. And Ozzy just kind of like, hey, I'm never going to get back to performing live. And actually, the thing that kind of rejuvenated him was the thing that rejuvenated him was doing the Post Malone song, "What Do You Want From Me," right? Like, which really energized him and got his confidence back. And he loved working with Andrew Watt, who I was like, ambivalent about. But, listen, whether you hold regard for the Grammys or not, um, the two Grammy winning albums, Ordinary Man and the second one, Patient Number Nine, kind of reinvigorated Ozzy to be creative. Andrew did the same kind of thing other people have done with Ozzy, which is like, kind of guide him and lead him into a creative space where he felt comfortable. He loved making those records. He did the Commonwealth Games thing where he popped up with Tony, and that was kind of a fun thing for him. And he was able to stand kind of holding on. They were terrified that he was going to fall over and get hurt worse again. And he was like literally gripping onto the microphone, and Sharon was like insisting, "This is going to be too dangerous for you. I don't feel good about this." You could see the worry in her face. I will say that this entire documentary made Sharon very sympathetic to me for the first time in a long time. You really saw her everyday struggle, her sadness, to watch this man that she loved slip away and not be able to do anything and not want to do anything. Like, he felt embarrassed. That's why, like when he finally came out of the house with gray hair, people were like, "Oh my God, Ozzy is all gray. Gandalf the White," like, what the fuck just happened? But like, he you get depressed and you can't get out of it. I've been there. I struggle with anxiety and depression, and I totally understand. And like, your will to live is sapped when you're struggling all the time. So making those records helped him. And I love that Jack Ozzbourne said this thing. He's like, "Ordinary Man is really a John Ozzbourne album, not Ozzy, crazy Ozzy. It's really him coming to terms with the end of his life, with the journey he's been on." And there's a lot of themes of redemption. Sharon talked a lot about that Ozzy really had a very moral accounting, that he wanted to make amends later in his life, and regretful of things with her. And the two of them were on very good ground toward the end there. Amy is very prominently featured. Kelly and Ozzy are extremely close and were extremely close. But Amy, who is, wasn't on the Osbournes, is not really known well publicly. She's totally like very present in this. She was circle the wagons with the family. She was always there. She is, directly involved with his life and saw him every day toward the end there, as did Jack. There's a lot of family around, grandkids, etc. I don't think we see a lot of Ozzy's first children from the 70s, but I know they were at the funeral. You do see like the extended kids and grandkids, which is very sweet. And at one point, Ozzy is playing around with Kelly's son, Sid Jr., I guess, and is like, "Oh, thank God it's a fucking boy. All these girls. I'm outnumbered by all you women. I'm so glad there's another man around." And he's a cute little, he looks like a baby Kelly, to be honest with you. He really favors his mom. And Jack said something like that. Ordinary Man is really a John Osbourne coming to terms with his whole life. It's like the record he always wanted to make. And then Patient Number 9 is like an Ozzy record again, with like evil and crazy. And Chad Smith is very heavily involved, and Andrew Watt is a lot of time spent with him, which was very interesting. And then the touring cancels, and Ozzy announces that he's kind of, retired from touring because he's just not going to be able to hold up anymore. And, still with medical problems and occasional other surgeries and things just to try to alleviate. He was in agonizing pain every day for like 6 or 7 years straight. Yeah, man, I'm here. Overt Enemy, welcome. I'm here talking about the new Ozzy documentary on Paramount Plus, No Escape From Now. I have not seen the BBC doc, but I heard it's brutal. This, I'm just talking, it's a little spoilery if you haven't seen it, but I don't think I'm talking about anything that isn't going to be all over the public, if not already, pretty soon. And whenever I do a spoilery review, I try to still leave room for you to appreciate it and enjoy things. But I'm just talking about some of the more surprising things that Ozzy had. One of his neck surgeries debilitated him worse, that he had continuous pain, that he was suffering from immense depression. And basically this depression and the frailty of getting old and injured reinforced a lot of the mental issues and emotional health issues he had his entire life. He talked about like that negative voice in his head, and I can relate to this. I just had therapy earlier today and talked about imposter syndrome and second guessing myself, even though I have been very successful. And again, I appreciate everybody for watching today. Ghost Cult turned 13 yesterday. Started as a little zine that I was not involved in. I came in, I took it over, ended up having to take ownership of it. And, 12 years, 13 years later, we're still here. Thanks so much, man, Zoko. That's really kind of you. I am grateful for everybody that helps us out. So, yeah, man, talking about the Ozzy doc. And then just to catch it up through, so the pandemic happens, which again can't go out of the house, and Ozzy again was like embarrassed to be in public because he was so frail, and there was always a fear of him falling. Sharon clearly wanted to do more. He wanted to do more, and he just couldn't. And then like his favorite pastime the last few years was watching, like, either wake up at like first thing in the morning and watch like History Channel all day long, World War II, Vietnam, the Holocaust. Like that's all he watched. And she's like, what kind of mental state are you going to be in if this is all you watch all day long? You got to get out and, smell the flowers. So he would go out to their garden and like shoot a fucking airsoft gun, a BB gun at the targets, and with a tripod and a rifle. And it was actually really fun. Yeah, man, it was really hard. I've been been a fan since Sperm. Dude, I just figured out that like Volume 4 came out the week after I was born. So it was not like the number one record when I was a little kid, but like Volume 4 and Master Reality are my two favorite Sabbath records, obviously with the original ones. And Censor Shit is also here. Thank you. Might have lost the TikTok people. Here we go. I'm back. That disappeared for a minute. But yeah, it's hard, man. It's hard. It was really hard to watch. I'm going to watch it at least one more time before I write a full review for the website. But I wanted to come on here and just dialogue with everybody. And if anybody's got any memories of Ozzy or favorite things from back to the beginning. So Ozzy does the Commonwealth Games with Tony and the Post Malone stuff. And Ordinary Man really re-energizes him. And when he basically can't tour anymore and he's basically stuck in the house, they reach back out to Watt and says, hey, let's make another record. And he also made some music with Billy Morrison. I don't know if you know, Billy Morrison was in Cult at one point, and he's been in a bunch of other bands, I think Winger, and he's very close friends with Ozzy, and him had a podcast together. So Ozzy had committed to doing music and like an album's worth of music and videos with Billy, and it was really hard. So they flew to England to do the Commonwealth Games on like 48 hours notice to do Paranoid. Tony, apparently Iommi had been very close to Ozzy to the end. So they remained text buddies, and that's the person he was closest to. I think like maybe 20 or 30 years ago, he was a lot closer to Geezer. But, Tony, you saw the clip in the trailer where Over an Enemy says, dude, when I was 11, your dad sat you down. Why isn't this thing showing? Sat you down, had to talk. Son, let me tell you about Ozzy and Randy. Nice, man. Well, your dad was awesome. My parents were worried about that devil music. Worried about the effect that devil music was going to have on me, believe me. But I love fucking Ozzy, man. So one of the interesting things was, the Billy Morrison stuff is good. There's more than a few songs out now, and I wonder if it's a whole album. But so Ozzy decided at the last minute, yes, we can do the games. They fly in a private plane to Europe. He gets out of the plane. They go rehearse. He put him up through the floor in the stage. He's like literally hanging on for dear life. Sharon is like watching backstage, like on a TV, about to cry, freaking out that he's going to fall and get hurt again. Worse. They do the thing. I don't remember who the backing band was. Might have been Tommy Clufudos and somebody on bass. I can't remember if it was Blasco or someone else like that. Looked like Blasco but they didn't spend a lot of time with him. But Tony was very close to Ozzy through the end, and would break him up, and he made jokes about Ozzy maybe coming out naked, like maybe I'll do the show naked. Watt and Ozzy have like inside jokes, which is adorable actually, and made me like Watt a lot more. He's very good. Like clearly, I was like, who is this guy? He is actually a rock guy. He can actually shred. He did play very well. We'll talk about this in a second. So just to as I start to bring it back down, obviously the last hour or half hour of the documentary is the last few years condensed. So Ozzy does not think he's going to get in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Would like it, but is like, I doubt it. I'm not. Nobody remembers me. I'm gone since I can't tour. Obviously, he got in, and it was a big deal. But he was like, "Yeah, I can't perform. Like, I want to perform, but I can't perform. So, like, what if we hire a musical director and have a tribute to you? You know, there's only like, something like 9 minutes, 7 or 9 minutes, shorter than the Super Bowl halftime show for everybody mad. And who do we get? How do we get like some, like a proper band together? So they hired Watt to be the musical director, and he gets Chad Smith, who worked on the records, and they get, Wolf Van Halen and Zach Wilde, of course, and Steve Stevens and Billy Idol, which I thought was interesting, and also Maynard and Jelly Roll. So there's actual rehearsal footage of this Rock and Roll Hall of Fame and Jack Black and everything, and it's really heart-wrenching to see, and it was super interesting. Jelly Roll ended up not coming to the rehearsal, but ended up showing up for the show and doing what he did, which was great. And you could see like Ozzy, there's sort of views of Ozzy and stuff behind the scenes that we didn't get to see in the show, in the Hall of Fame stuff. And Maynard is talking about Ozzy. He's like, yeah, no pressure. Slowmatics is here. What's up? Love your band. Jelly Jesset is here. Maynard is like, no big deal. Just having to sing Crazy Train in front of the guy who wrote it. Motherfuck me. He was like super scared. He was literally like nervous, like very nervous. Maynard was usually a very overconfident dude. And it was fun. Steve Stevens, Billy Idol. I wish it was you up there, and like what an honor, and all the things. So really cool. And then fast forward to they come home from the Hall of Fame, and the next thing is already planned. The Back to the Beginning was already in the works. So how do we do this? The one thing Ozzy didn't get to do is say goodbye to his fans. We saw that a few times in the trailer, as well as over and over from Sharon. So, how do you pull this thing off? And it was already in the works. And I think once, they get Tom Morello, because they really needed a badass to lead that thing. And then once they get Tom Morello, he basically, the first phone call was Metallica. Nice. Hey, Glacial Musicals here. What's up? Bon Daisley. No, he wasn't, bro. He wasn't. So really funny. Metallica, everybody kind of said yes, and we still don't know who was kicked out, but whatever. Sharon went gushing about all the bands, and obviously most important was Ozzy to do a solo set, and then Ozzy to do the Black Sabbath set. He really was like, I wish I could do more. I'm gonna, like Throne and put him up through the floor, and they show the crowd. They show like when Ozzy came out of the stage for the first time with the Ozzy band. There's like a girl crying her eyes out. The guy who wrote Crazy Train is Randy Rhoads, but yeah, Bob wrote the lyrics. I know, bro. Go see the recent Glitchly Musical podcast series on Ozzy Osbourne's first 15 years of his solo career. So, yeah. People are bawling their eyes out during the performance. There's a lot of crowd shots that I don't think we saw close-ups of during the broadcast. And then it's a montage of the funeral procession and the funeral, and it's very fucking sad and final. There are it's a very well-made documentary. They were with him for quite a while, and it's very intimate, and it feels very like you're there with them. It's shot like very, not just documentary style, but it's like very, very intimate, like intimate moments and intimate things. I think a person that loves Ozzy, that has loved him, will really love this. I do think it's going to be, it's a hard one. I think after I watch it one more time, I'm not going to watch it for a long time. And I will watch the BBC one, but I've heard that's even harder. So yeah, just Ozzy's memoir is also out, his final book, Last Rites. Husband, father, grandfather, fucking icon. Apparently finished the last entry on the book just days before he died. Todd is here. What's up? We've seen the Judas Priest Ozzy charity single come out with War Pigs. I rather liked it. I would even consider getting the vinyl, coming out in late November. And then this is like a very typical feature of the film. If you've seen it, unfortunately, y'all on TikTok can't see this. Frankly, I've yet to really process that he's gone. Yo, I understand, bro. Yes, you cannot watch this. It's going to make you cry. And honestly, a lot of Into the Void was hard to watch. The first episode is about Randy Rhoads, but there's a lot of these like overlays. Like again, Ozzy mugging for the camera when he's got like a little verve to him, a little vavoom, where you see him like a glint of who he used to be, occasionally mugging for the camera and being the scared, crazy Ozzy guy. But the rest of the time, man, he is just a broken down old man suffering, and it sucks so bad. And I'm so glad he's not sick anymore. They talked about his upbringing in Birmingham. That's his house. Kelly, again, is in this quite a lot, and also Amy. And we really hear from Amy for maybe the most we've ever heard from Amy ever. And she's wonderful. And Jack is wonderful, of course. And so, yeah, man, Ozzy, we got maybe some more music with Billy Morrison. Maybe there's some extra tracks from the Watt stuff coming out. I don't know. I wonder if Sharon, we talked about this on Glacially Musical, if Sharon will maybe sell off the Ozzy catalog. Today is Sharon's birthday, by the way. Happy birthday, 73, Sharon. What a tough time for her. Yeah, he got off his meds so he could do the show. Yeah, he's a wreck, man. Like he was so wrecked just doing this. And there's the Back to the Beginning. And he was really super happy doing the Back to the Beginning and reuniting with his buddies. Tony had been like a constant. I think getting Bill back was really special for him. Geezer, has been in and out for a long time. And this is one of the, this is a photo from our coverage of Ozzy and the Ozzy funeral procession. So that's a picture from Gary Alcock of Ghost Cult. And that's one of the lasting images at the end of the documentary is this clip, this wall, which hopefully someday I will go visit and hopefully will not get taken down. But yeah, man, that's my review. I mean, it's immense. I was a big fan of God Bless Ozzy Ozzbourne from 14 years ago, where I met Ozzy and interviewed him for one question. Maybe I'll do something with that for the anniversary next year for 15. I think after I watch this one more time and I see the BBC doc, I will be reading the Ozzy book also for a review. But like, it's a lot to take in if you love the man, and it really humanized Sharon. Really feel bad for her, even if she's done a lot of not great things. She really loved him. This whole thing broke her whole heart, and the same thing with the rest of the family. It was really devastating to see him that way and for him to be that way. And he felt like a burden. He hated it, like all the things. He felt like very sad. He was ill, and the family had to, pick up for him. So that's my thoughts on Ozzy No Escape From Now. Do give it a watch. It's on Paramount Plus. I will follow up probably when I see the BBC doc with another one of these and maybe compare and contrast the two. Perhaps I will also come up here and talk about the book. Glacially Musical says, as I'm getting ready to go, the genre of metal is really only 55 years old, but it predates my life and will post-date my death. It's super trippy to think that the literal founding father of the genre just died. I hear you, bro. I knew I wasn't ready, and I wasn't ready. And I hope Iommi keeps getting a clean bill of health. He jokes that every 6 months they give him another 6 months, and as long as he pays the bill, they'll keep giving him another 6 months, which I thought was very clever. He did that. He said that on a podcast. I think the Metallica podcast he did. That's the show. I will be back in about an hour with the weekly ritual. And of course, check out the Glacially Musical podcast at midnight on YouTube and tomorrow, wherever you listen to podcasts. I'm Keefy from Ghost Cult. Thanks for spending this time with me. Thank you to all who donated some money, Stormland, and Zoko, thank you. I have Billy Joel on my mind. That's why Stormfront. Henny Youngman. Take my wife, please. I need some comedy after this. I'm going to have to watch some fun stuff this weekend. Maybe not continue the Ed Gein series. Peace, man. Yeah, I understand. Enjoy. Have a great night. Thanks again, brother. We appreciate you. We'll see you soon. Peace. I'll be back soon.